Welcome to This Week in No Code Plus AI. I'm your host, JJ, here with my co-host, David Powell, adding AI into the end of their name just because we talk about so much AI, keeping you in the loop every week with all the latest happenings. This week is another special week. We have two very special guests coming on, Kieran, aka NoCodeLife,
hmm
and
Yep.
James Davenport. Recently, they hosted the NoCode Summit in England, and now we're going to bring them on to talk about their experience, learnings, what went
Yeah, I wish we were
well,
there.
all that
Gotta get
kind of
some,
stuff. What went well, all that kind of
yeah,
stuff. But
some
before
boots
that,
on the
we have
ground.
boots on the ground. But before that, we have a great slate of news because a lot is happening in this industry. So, David, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to This Week in No Code and AI. Well, let's start with some AI and no code. I guess it's a little bit of both. Coda, one of our favorite tools. We've talked about them a lot. Recently, we mentioned how they had just entered a partnership into Snowflake. Some of the vision of this partnership is coming to light. They have announced their new Coda Brain. This is a full workspace, full enterprise pack that you can now integrate all of these data sources into your Coda workspace, and you can start building apps on top of everything. Right. And so, just like we've seen with a few different startups, search startups trying to search across all of your enterprise data, now you can build things on top of it. This partners well with their, or pairs well with their two-way integration, so that not only can you pull stuff into Coda and visualize it and do stuff in Coda, you can push stuff back into it. And so they're going to be doing lots of really cool things in the next few months. Probably, I mean, immediately you can start building some cool things across all of your company's data. Snowflake is a data company. They are trying to, build data warehouses for enterprises. This is another layer on top of it. They did buy a search startup, Neva, a little while ago. You can see they're building some really cool things. Coda being, what we've said a few times now, no code being the window pane into AI, allowing you to really quickly build AI tools where they're handling the heavy lift of the AI integrations, but you now get to build all these really cool workflows and automations and pages, right? And so it is a great innovation. I'm excited to see what the no coders do with it. JJ, what do you think?
Yeah, simply put, this allows you to connect all of your company's data into one place and then to have one source of truth where you can kind of like retrieve all that data in one place. And that's what I've gotten out of it. And if that's true, I think there's huge value there. I think everybody struggles with this. There's so many different systems that every company uses at all sizes. And being able to unlock that value is really hard because who has access, all this kind of stuff. They don't talk to each other, all that kind of stuff. And so it's very promising, and it's a
Yep.
great first step for them. I could see the interest from Snowflake in terms of connect all your systems. We'll store all that data. Huge value there. And then Coda's like, okay, we have all this data. Now let's bring it back. And so it makes a lot of sense. I'm excited to see what they do with it. Why don't we move on to the next news segment?
Yeah.
Tribeca to screen AI generated short films created by OpenAI's
Does this
Sora.
just hit you right in the heart? Is this just like,
Wow.
ugh?
I have two immediate thoughts. The first thought is, wow. Like all those people that actually go and spend their life savings on a short film and do all of this to make a great film, they're probably going to feel like, oh, like what is happening? Like, am a diminishing skill set? Is this like a real thing? And then the other feeling I have is it is going to give a lot more access to the people that couldn't go off and spend their life savings on a short film and gather all these resources, but still had a good story to tell. And I do
Mhm.
like that aspect of it a lot because one of the things I struggled with as a filmmaker was I had these ideas, but I didn't have a cast or a crew or the money to make it happen. And that's where no code came to life for me. It's like I didn't need any of those. I could just go and start building and bring it to life. And I really love that. So if AI now allows you to do that with video making, then there is a lot of freedom and accessibility that comes with that for the better, which is interesting. And you know that OpenAI has their hands in this of just like, how can we really revolutionize or make this mainstream?
Mhm.
Let's pay a lot of money to add this segment or whatever to these film festivals and all these other areas of the industry. And it seems like their team is operating on all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean, Sora can only make videos up to 60 seconds at a
Well,
time,
you chop
at
them all
least.
together, right? You say, like,
Yeah.
"Here's a 10-second, here's a," and then you add it all together, you could probably get videos that are good.
Yeah, I don't really know, I was playing with Dolly yesterday and talking about trying to, like, make a t-shirt for my friend, like a
Yeah.
design a t-shirt, and it was just so so hard to actually get it to repeatedly do the same thing. I can't imagine. I don't know how it actually works in this case, trying to get like some continuity between 60-second clips. But
And Dolly
you
still
know,
looks, like, so futuristic and, like, robotic, and it's just, like, it's not sometimes good quality.
yeah, I mean, you definitely have to like lean in to where it is today. You can't really, I don't know that you can really make anything and editable, combinable kind of way. I know lots of people who are upset about this. They're like, no, it's not. This should not be included. The same way that like Netflix making movies weren't supposed to be part of award categories, then all of a sudden they were. It does seem like this is a good tool to have in the toolkit. I don't know that we're really that close to like full length feature films that are only AI driven and nothing in the middle.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
isn't going to the example that I think of is many years ago when I was in film school at Toronto International Film Festival, there was this film that really, like, took away everybody, and the entire film was captured through a screen recording on a user's device, what
Interesting.
happened was is they captured a teen couple breaking up through text messaging and Facebook, and, like, all the like, alright, you text message, they don't respond to you, you go to the Facebook, you check for photos, have they been recently, and, like, on the whole ecosystem of, like, what online dating looked like, and it was
Mhm.
entirely shot through or captured through a screen recording, right? It was a different way to tell a story that didn't require super fancy stuff, and
Yeah.
it worked really well, and so I think it's just gonna allow for different types of stories to be told now rather
Yeah.
than y I don't know, and it could also help supplement. Maybe you have a full film that, like, you actually shot, but there was, like, this one scene where it needed to take place in outer space or whatever, and maybe you couldn't do it. Maybe you could help now to add that possibility into your film.
Yeah, I do like it for the B-roll and the
Yeah,
extra scenes you can't really make yourself, but
yeah,
hey, I mean, if you wanna type into if the prompt is really the art, then
yeah.
it is still art in some
The
way.
the industry's changing. I mean, people were first mad when Netflix brought their tech money into Hollywood, and then it really benefited from the tech money, and now AI is bringing their tech money into Hollywood, and it's gonna benefit as well. It's just like it's a business, and they like
Yeah.
all businesses, they follow the money, and that's unfortunately what's happening right now.
Alright, so let's talk about this viral post or semi-viral. I don't know what viral is, who knows? You know when you see it, right? The end of software. Basically, this Google Doc has been floating around the internet talking about the end of software as we know it. They make an analogy, and we can link to it in the show notes if you wanna read it. They basically make an analogy that, if we look at how media has transformed with new technology, it went from needing lots of production, and we're just talking about this with Sora, right? The cost of media was so high, no one made anything themselves. You needed a team, you needed equipment, you needed sets, you needed all this stuff. And then with the cell phone, for example, and the internet and social media, now all of a sudden everyone can become a content creator and can distribute their own content. And you can get, you see these posts on Twitter, like stadiums worth of people watching and reading what you're saying with
We've been
zero
talking about
cost.
this, David. We've been talking about it.
Yep.
If you've been listening to This Week in No Code and AI, you know already.
Yeah. And they basically say like with these new tools, you go from this really expensive thing to a really cheap thing, and everyone can now make it themselves, right? And this is what this guy is saying then relates to software. And so we've been talking with this a lot about with AI,
Yeah,
right? Or sorry, with no code. That's where this all started, right? Hey, no code makes it easy and cheap to build. One person can build. One person who doesn't know how to code can build in weeks instead of hiring expensive skilled developers months to
yeah.
build. This guy is now opening his eyes to this, like, hey, it might be cheaper to build software within the context of AI. saying now, hey, instead of having one big sales force that's supposed to work for everyone, you now have 1,000 different Salesforce products that cost effectively nothing because there's no team, it's just you. Software prices come way down, right? We talked about this with All In. They're saying, hey,
Yep.
SaaS prices are getting
And
untenable. And now you can build really specific things. They're saying, like, software is going to become a commodity, right? Building software is going to become a commodity. And that's not the secret anymore.
it's just another example of a mainstream person learning about no code and AI possibilities for the first time, like what we've all kind of been talking about, and just seeing it how it's going to play out in the mainstream. We've been talking about this for a long time. Anyone can build with this stuff now, right? And
Mhm.
when anyone can build with this, there's going to be a lot more creation. Just like the analogy I did many episodes ago of just movie cameras in your hand with your iPhone. Now there's tons of videos, user generated content, all that kind of stuff that otherwise could never exist. And we're going to see that with software as well. It's just, it makes so much sense. And so, we kind of talked about this in the last episode with the AI tools of just the smaller business owner has more power than ever before, and it's gonna continue to go in that direction because
Mhm.
these small business owners have the tool set they need to compete at a large scale now with
Yeah.
no code and AI to build really awesome software and to have virtual things do things on their behalf. It's the mom and the pop are coming back.
Yeah, yeah, that's the analogy that we used before. It's like big box, it went from Main Street America, where every person had the local hat shop, the
Yeah,
clothing store, the grocery store, and then it became big box and big conglomerates, and then it swung back into, mom and pops. And now you have artisanal things and, people are still doing it's still a struggle, but that's the thought here with this with software is it was, hey, I'm a software company or I'm a company that needs software for my business. I hire developers and build it for me and I use it alone.
yeah.
To, oh, well, it seems like other people need that, so we can rent it to them as well. That's how software companies got started. Even early days software, it wasn't SaaS the same way, but now it's software as a service. Everyone builds for multiple customers at once. And now we swing back, maybe, we'll see, into kind of one off builds.
I feel like AI is the glue that's going to tie no code and code together. It's going to bring it all together into one thing. It's like the super glue that brings it all together and hold it together. Because with AI at the middle, you can use a no code interface where you don't actually have to code anything, but still generate code and still get, you know, custom software, custom things and that benefit. It's happening. It's really cool.
Yeah.
There's one other thing that we gotta talk about before we get on to our interview. Also, because this is something we've talked about recently. So the
Mhm.
interview with Eric Wan from the CEO of Zoom said that, or at least mentions that he can expect AI twins to replace you in meetings soon. Right? And this just came out. We 3 or 4 episodes ago, we talked about it. I'm telling you, we
Yeah.
talked about it, right? But it's just a no it's a no-brainer, right? It's like Zoom aims to become more of a video conferencing platform by integrating productivity tools into it, but they're focusing on creating AI-powered digital twins that can attend meetings and make decisions on your behalf. I think we talked about it because, I host, our software expert things and all their AI bots kind of attend for them in that
Mhm.
way. But soon, I think we're going to be able the ability to see these bots actually, attend, but also take decisions or at least ping you when a decision needs to be made so you can make decisions. And then, of course, all the AI avatars of like your likeness and everything happening, it's all going to combine together for this. Bumble CEO said the same thing of AI twins are going to be going on dates for you soon. Right. And so
Yeah.
I think one last thing I'll say on it is Sam was essentially from OpenAI was saying like there's going to be a lot of society norms that are going to be changed very soon in the near future of just the way we've done things for so long are going to be adjusted, disrupted because of new AI capabilities, finding new, effective, better ways to do it, saving us time kind of thing. Again, mom and pop on the rise, giving the
Yeah.
individual creator more power.
I am interested to see how many, like in a normal Zoom meeting, not a AR, like virtual reality, augmented reality kind of way, but a really just flat on your computer. the note-taking apps, if those really get replaced by me looking like I'm there. I mean, I feel like that would just be more distracting than helpful. I don't know that I love the idea of.
I mean, how valuable could it be if at the point AI can just do it for you? Does that mean like there's no real value being had of that meeting and it's just information sharing at that point? Like I think that gets us into a whole new things of like why are we actually doing these meetings in the first place if someone else can replicas of us can do it at it's
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know where the decision making happens. I think it could be helpful to have an AI like secretary that's there that you can, or company historian, like you can imagine. We just talked about Coda having search access across your whole database of everything your company does. Hey assistant, how did we do last quarter? Hey,
Yeah, or
what's the number we did that? Like, that kind of stuff is pretty cool to have in a meeting with you.
or
Not
for
yeah.
attending all of your employees meetings with them as almost like a hey, here's the
Yeah,
company
that
as
sucks.
well. Right? I mean, that could
No one's
easily be
ever
a
gonna
thing, and
badmouth
then
you on
no
a
one's gonna
Zoom call.
badmouth you. Well, it's just like, well, maybe you say something that the company doesn't support. Maybe then that AI bot comes in and says, "This is not an official company," or whatever, or like it
Mm,
gives you a warning after the call, or like quality assurance mesh. Like, there's a lot of ways that this could be used for good and bad, and yeah,
yeah,
like I see the world of like, AI is going on dates and taking meetings and stuff, but I still think the root thing just isn't there yet, which is like, all right, how is this value being transferred and is it really valuable enough? And are they able to like deliver enough value enough to make it worth it? Or is that meeting just worthless in the first place and you shouldn't be doing it kind of thing?
yeah.
So
Or the meeting shouldn't have happened. Just
shouldn't
do
have
it by
exactly. It just
email,
shouldn't have happened.
and didn't
Yeah.
need to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
exactly. And so maybe there's other ways that you can replace those meetings with information sharing where it's like you maybe update a central LM, LLM in your company and that just update. So anytime now you asked your LLM what to do, it's now has that new, information
Mhm.
that the company wants in
Yeah.
response to the thing.
Yeah, it
I
could
don't
be.
know.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Let's get
Well,
on
it's
to our
crazy time
interviews.
right now. Well, so much is changing. I'm open to lots of change. If I don't have to go to a meeting, fine by me. But
There's a huge amount of opportunity right now.
yeah.
Like this is it feels like the gold mine almost of just like there is a lot to be had out there,
Mhm.
and it's a really good time to be an indie maker equipped with some kind of technical capabilities or with the willingness to go out and partner with someone that can and then go sell those capabilities because it's a really good time.
Yeah.
Speaking of good times, let's bring on the gentleman from the No Code UK. And here we are with Kieran, aka No Code Life, and James Davenport, the two hosts behind No Code UK. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hi,
Hey,
happy to be here.
thank you so much for having us.
It's a pleasure having you. So, you guys are really radical. I mean, you were like, "Hey, let's come up and do a conference for the UK." You don't. I think this is how it happened. We don't have a UK yet, and why not do it? Is that how it happened? How did you come up with this idea?
I heard there was a train ride involved. No?
Yeah, yeah, it was quite. I think we didn't really have it in our minds that it was going to be so big as it ended up being when we first were chatting about it. But yeah, we were in Paris at the No Code Summit, and we just had a kind of an amazing time. Kieran had been on a panel, and I joined him on it, and we met a ton of people there, and we just had such a good time, and we were like, why is there nothing like this in the UK? This no code movement in France is way ahead of anywhere else that we'd seen. There was
Yeah.
like 3,000 attendees at this thing in Paris. It was huge, and we were like, it feels wrong that there's nothing in the UK. So like kind of a bit naively, we were like, well, how hard can it be? And we quickly found out.
But I mean, it's amazing. I feel like we all feel like I feel that way about my local city, but I'm not actually going to go and do a whole conference like you guys did, which is hats off, amazing. So, like, when did this actually start becoming serious for you guys?
I think we did the classic. Yeah, we're so used to like being indie makers that we just did the thing of like, let's announce it straight away without having anything ready, and then it will just kind of happen. And yeah, so we just announced it really early on, and then I think we didn't, that was October that we'd thought of it. I think we announced it like within a few weeks, maybe on our podcast. And then we didn't actually start, obviously then there's Christmas. We didn't really start thinking about organizing it properly until like January. And then for some reason we said it was going to be in May. So that's really not very long.
Quick turnaround.
Yeah, especially when you've got no experience with organizing conferences, which I think actually was kind of in our favor because we had no idea how much there was to do.
If you knew, you may not have actually done it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now we know.
So
yeah,
everyone
absolutely.
listening, they say, don't do it. No.
I mean,
No,
maybe not, but like it's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Yeah, I feel like we could have given ourselves an extra year and that would have been like very sensible.
Wow.
But yeah, something about like the no code community and just the people in it and how willing everyone, how everyone wanted us just to succeed. Like you could just tell, like on the day, everyone was just smiling the whole time. Like we went up to do like the opening remarks and I was like really nervous, but I was just met with like an audience full of smiles and that just made me feel so good. But it was like that the whole day. Like everyone wanted it to go well. There were no complaints. No one was there to like make a bad time. So I think we kind of felt that right from the start, and that kind of that wave just helped us to move along and get it done somehow.
That's so
what was
great.
the format of the day? Do you want to tell some folks about that?
Yeah, so we decided, obviously, we wanted to have speakers. We really wanted it to have a kind of by makers, for makers ethos, because we feel that a lot of conferences, it's really just a chance for the sponsors to kind of have an audience and tell them about whatever they're selling. We didn't want it to be like that, so we told the sponsors very early on that they wouldn't have speaking slots, and we were going to actually get real makers who are making stuff with no code, and you know, maybe they're working regular jobs, maybe they're a freelancer, maybe they're a founder, but they have interesting stories. So we got a bunch of these speakers who were just fantastic and really willing to talk about their experiences, and a lot of them had never spoken at anything like this before. So it was, like it was way better, I think, than getting like a professional speaker who's just like, okay, another conference. These were people who are like, this is my shot, like blowing people away, so I'm going to put all the effort into it. And then we had a hackathon as well, and we had, you know, food and coffee, and we made sure we had like big gaps between all the talks so everyone could network. And we had like a bunch of kind of games and stuff to help people to talk to each other, because we know that conferences are really all about connecting. So and then drinks afterwards, which are another crucial part of the puzzle.
Yeah, more social.
You're a thirsty man, Kieran.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, you've seen it. Yeah,
I remember your BubbleCon. You always had a beer in your hand somewhere.
Well, I wasn't allowed this time until after the actual conference in the bar.
It's a good rule. And so how many people attended?
So on the day, I think we had about 150, 160 in total, and then something like another 200 like virtual tickets, which was kind of, we decided not to live stream the event in the end because it was just way beyond what we could manage. So we kind of had it all professionally recorded with like a film crew, and we're going to be putting it all on YouTube and kind of sending it all out to the virtual attendees. But a load of the virtual attendees also did the hackathon. That we had people doing that literally from all around the world. So that was amazing.
What were some of the favorite projects from the hackathon?
Yeah, so we wanted to do the hackathon a bit differently. So we decided to make it a lot more simple than a regular hackathon. So it wasn't like, here's a brief, make anything you want with any tool. We actually said the task is to recreate a MySpace page. For people who are younger than me, MySpace was one of the original social networks. So it's like a really old school, like HTML page, very basic, but we wanted to see if people could do it in the tool of their choice and like what was possible. And also that makes it a lot easier for the judges because they can like actually look at it and everyone's looks roughly the same. But we said, you know, can you add in any flair, or if you want to actually make it functional, that's really cool. And so everyone did that, and we had a like remote team led by Vensi Krishna who are like judging all the actual outcomes, and then we gave some prizes at the end. We announced the winners at the end.
Cool. You mentioned picking the tool of their choosing. I see, James, you have a bubble shirt. Kieran, you bubble as well. Was this everything bubble? This was any no code platform. This was just any no code.
it was a real mix of tools. Obviously, me and Kieran are kind of super into Bubble, but we did have people doing talks on all sorts of different tools, which I thought was, that's kind of what we wanted to do. We didn't want it just to be a tool about one event. And we also wanted to kind of tailor it to different skill levels, because we had people coming who'd never used a NoCode tool before, and we had like mega expert level people, and there was a balance of talks across the stages, so you could kind of pick and choose, like maybe which tool you're interested in, or what level, or what kind of topic. But we were also really, really lucky to get so much support from so many no-code tools as well, who actually sponsored the event, without which it would never have happened. So like Bubble came on really early and supported it, and then we also had like Better Mode, Toddle, Glide, Flusk, all these fantastic no-code companies who took a chance on it, because there was no track record or really anything to show. And I think that it was their support that really gave us the confidence to go for such an amazing venue as well. At the start, we were looking at kind of a lot smaller venues, but we took a bit of a gamble with the one that we went for in the end, because we weren't sure whether we were going to be able to fill it, or if we'd even be able to sell enough tickets. But it kind of, I think, that kind of, having such an impressive venue then got more and more people to come, and it let us have multiple stages and things like that. So I'm really glad that we did it, but it wouldn't have been possible if all the tools hadn't have kind of put their neck out and supported it.
Yeah, the first one is always the hardest, right? Because you have no track record, you have no idea and so getting people to buy in on that is the hardest. It's almost like you might have a downhill slope next time. If you are going to do it next time, I'd love to talk about that, because you now know what it takes and you can organize it better, and you also know the turnout,
you have more time,
the ROI, more time, all that kind of stuff. So is this going to be a yearly thing? What do you guys think?
We're still kind of processing it at the moment. I mean, as certainly our ambition is that we want to do a lot more with it. I think, like, as a brand, like, we can definitely extend it, and we're just kind of working out. I mean, the thing is as well, it was in no way just me and Kieran. I think, like, we have to give a massive shout out to Ash, without whom it would never have happened, and Matt Roberts as well, who helped us out. Without them, it would never have happened. So it's a bit tricky, because unless we can kind of get the gang back together, we don't know whether it's even possible to do it. So we're still kind of planning what we're going to do, but we'd love to do more. We'd certainly love to do more. So we're actively kind of planning at the moment.
Yeah, I think we've had such positive feedback from everyone that, yes, I mean, it's got to happen again in some form, whether it's going to be like an annual thing or slightly less frequently, I don't know. But yeah, some of the sponsors have already been back in touch and said, yeah, we'd love to sponsor again. And all the attendees and speakers are like, yeah, when's the next one? So there is a lot of like social support behind us if we do another one. And I think it will be a lot easier, because, the venue was so good. And the videos that are going to come out soon of all the talks, they just look fantastic. So it looks super professional. And obviously, like the branding and stuff, we had someone called Carla Fernandez who did our branding, and everyone was like, oh, your branding is so on point and consistent across the whole thing. And that made it look a lot more professional than it probably was. And that is going to be good, because next year it will be a bit more professional and hopefully it'll be a bit easier as well to organize.
And I've never seen such a gigantic Figma file as well. Like, literally every visual thing to do at the conference was in a single Figma file, from people's like badges on the way into every social media post to all the signage.
Wow.
Like it was quite a kind of a DIY approach, and like we ran the whole conference with no code tools as well. So like we were using Airtable, Notion, everything to kind of keep everything in order. So we were definitely kind of dog fooding the whole thing, really.
That's awesome.
That's pretty
cool. What came out of it, like, that you might have been surprised about? Was there like I think generally we know the no code industry, the community is really great. So maybe that wasn't a surprise of everyone being so great, but like, was there like a tool or a new trend or something about it that like you kind of like, oh, I didn't see that happening, but that was cool?
I mean, for me, I think I was really surprised by speaking to people at the event, the diversity of the backgrounds they were coming from. We had people who were obviously doing startups, agencies, but we also had people from like some of the biggest banks in London, massive consulting companies, like big corporates, basically, who were really like, who are almost on like a fact-finding mission to say, like, how can we integrate this stuff into our business? Like, I think a lot of them see no-code tools as the vehicle to get AI into their workflows, basically, and a lot of people were interested in that. But yeah, it was that mix, everything. It was from massive corporates to one-person startups to agencies, everything. That was what kind of shocked me.
How did you get the word out to the corporates? Like, I don't know. You call 1-800-Netflix and go, hey, we're having a conference.
To be honest, I don't really know how they found out about it. I'm guessing we did run quite a bit of advertising on Twitter X, which we didn't really know whether it worked or not, but maybe it did kind of work. We weren't. I think that's one thing we would like to do better next year is more advertising. We kind of hacked it together ourselves. But yeah, certainly we'd love to get the word out there a bit more to get, because there is a big demand for it. And like if we can see in France, 3,000 attendees, I think there's kind of scope for quite a bit of growth with the UK.
Yeah, and the UK is it's a big hub for the no code as well, right? Like I feel like even more than United States in some ways, Europe has a far lead, and I feel like in some ways, Paris, UK, all that, it's a popular destination for no coders.
Yeah, and I seem to remember a BubbleCon. I think Bubble said in terms of like their market share in countries, I think number 1 was the US, then I think number 2 was the UK, and I think 3 and 4 were Brazil and France.
Yeah, Brazil I think is top.
A secret one that not many people are aware of. But it's big. Yeah,
interesting.
Man,
the thing that
I would love to bring something like this to the United States, but only if you guys are in on it. We'll fly you guys over here.
Yeah.
Man,
get the gang together.
That would be awesome. I was just going to say the thing that really surprised me, actually, just one of the small things, which is slightly more of a negative spin, I guess, is that we had a student ticket, and I think which was like massively discounted, and we approached loads of universities to tell them about it, and I think we only sold like 1 student ticket. Like it seemed like all these education institutions who you'd think would be really keen for their students to be learning about this stuff were just not at all interested. They were like, oh, you want to sell your conference, like you have to go jump through all these hoops. And then the ones that did let us like promote it, there was no interest. So I found that really strange. Like what are students doing? Well, so I can take a guess at what they're doing, but
we are. When I was in college, I went to the Web Summit. I don't know if you know Web Summit, this huge tech conference.
Yeah.
Early in its life cycle, they had a scholars program that had like an application and made it feel exclusive. There was some application and an interview. And then if you got selected, they would actually just give you the ticket for free if you found your way in. And it was really pretty cool because the people that like we've stayed in touch with a bunch of those founders, like they've gone on to do some like pretty crazy things. And so this was just like general tech, and this was in Dublin. So all of us flew out to Dublin for this, but they were from all over the world. And it was a cool way to get like students talking about it and something a little bit more than just like trying to get the school to do something. It wasn't through the school. The school didn't tell me. I just found about it.
Kieran, I'm not surprised by this. It's universities are having, for some reason, they're really slow to adopt this. I know a lot of really good universities that they're graduating people that they literally in computer science majors, they don't even know about no code at all. Like a family friend graduated computer science from Berkeley, and I asked her if she knew of any no code thing. She had no idea of like any of the tools possible. Right. And it's just like it's not being taught or even exposed at the university level in many, many ways. AI is starting to be there. Right. But the subset of no code is just not there. It's
and they're really going to have to get their act together because this is moving quicker than any previous wave of technology. I mean, and I think the distinction as well is that we didn't sell many student tickets, but there were a lot of young people there. I think it was people who were getting out there and learning it for themselves with their own initiative. And I think that's probably how a lot of it's going to happen with this, because I just think universities are going to be too slow to adopt. It's going to maybe in a couple of years, but it's going to be too late by then. Like people are taking their own initiative and learning it now.
Yeah, James, I personally think that I don't know if no code is ever going to get there, but I know AI will. And I think no code is going to be attached at the hip of an AI. And because of AI being there, no code would then get there. But I don't think it will happen by itself. What do you guys think?
It's a tough one. I think no code. I mean, like AI will be a very easy add-on to computer science courses, but that's a certain profile of person who does that. And with no code, we're trying to open it up to a much wider audience than people who do computer science. So yeah, I would hope that it does find. I don't know under what kind of banner it will get there. It's almost a new thing. It's its own kind of paradigm aside from computer science, but involving logic and ability to use APIs and stuff, but not full blown coding. But I really do hope that it does have a moment of breakthrough, because a lot of people are going to need this in the workforce when they get into it, like to be able to do their job. And you're going to be able to command a much better salary if you know how to get the most out of AI via some kind of no code platform. So yeah, it's really important that people embrace it.
Yeah,
Kieran,
we
what do you
already
think?
see that a lot of the AI tools are packaged into a no-code framework, right? Drag and drop editors, workflow tools like a Zapier or a Make or BuildShip, those kinds of things, where you're just stacking these steps together. So it does make sense that they'll be no-code curious and go, oh, well, what else can I do? How do I wrap this up into something else? I don't know what the
They
answer
might
is going
just
to
call it
be.
like an AI tool, though. They might not refer to it
Right,
in
they
a
may not
no
talk
code
about it
way.
as no code, and
Right.
we may not want that, right? Like that's we've been trying to get rid of the no code moniker anyway and say just visual programming, and maybe this is the time where it jumps the shark. And no code never really exists as mainstream, but it is no code in its kind of implementation.
Yeah, I think it may be just something to do with the way it's being framed, because like at the conference right at the start, we did like a show of hands for like who had worked in a career previously, and like almost everyone put their hands up. And then a show of hands like who changed to no code because they actually enjoy doing no code, like building, and like everyone put their hands up. And it's so rare to have a group of people that really enjoy what they're doing. They chose this career, they weren't channeled into it by their parents or their peers or a university degree. Like everyone is there because they wanted to be. And you see so many people's lives have been changed by no code, and they just absolutely love it. That it just, I can't imagine that it's not going to become more popular. It may be that the percentage of people that can actually get their head around tools like Bubble and Flutterflow is smaller than we think, but it's still got to be way more than can actually write code. So I still think it's going to have its day with or without AI, but I can't explain why it's taking so long.
Yeah, I mean, I made a reference the other day on Twitter where Zapier, I think we can recognize it as one of the leaders in the no-code industry. Like it's been around since 2012, and it's got just about 2 to 3 million users at this point, which isn't nothing. But ChatGPT launched 2 years ago, and it has 100 million users. And everyone knows of it.
But the
And so
interface is a chat, like a text box, right? Like that's the difference, I think.
yeah.
Right? You type and you get an answer, and you're using AI with knowing how to use a keyboard, and that's
But
everyone.
Zapier is so simple as well. I just assumed businesses just were using Zapier, like everyone kind of knew of it. But asking around, no one actually knew of it from my local businesses and communities. No one knew of it, but everyone used ChatGPT kind of thing, right? And so maybe ChatGPT or AI tools will be the one that also increase the awareness of no code significantly as well in that way too.
You try to get a little further. Yeah, could be.
Definitely. Well, OpenAI had that kind of experiment with quite a deep Zapier integration that they did for a while. I think it's been sunsetted now. It wasn't quite the right mix of stuff, but you can definitely see very close being able to have a kind of a conversation out loud with OpenAI that will build you a very complex kind of bit of software effectively in Zapier or whatever other platform, kind of visually represent it to you to let you clarify what it is that you've built. But yeah, I think it's very, very, very close to getting to that mass market adoption. But I think that, to be honest, a lot of these no-code tools, the UIs are complicated. Like they're powerful tools, but
Yeah.
they're not easy to use in a lot of cases. Even
Mhm.
Zapier, like you can do very basic things in it, but if you want to start doing more advanced things, it does get complicated when you compare it to something like ChatGPT. So
Yeah.
hopefully AI will be the thing that can just abstract all of this kind of complication in the UI and let people do stuff very, just by talking to it.
So if that happens, which I agree in many ways, if that happens, I think we're looking at a world where AI, no code, and code all come together to kind of create a interface all in one that allows you to use AI to prompt and then use no code to visually drag stuff and then have the code underlining at all parts. What do you guys
Yeah,
think?
I would agree. Yeah, I think no code is an abstraction on code, and
Yeah.
AI is going to be another like the top, the final layer, the final boss layer at
Mhm.
the top. But
Awesome.
yeah,
The
I
final
don't.
boss layer will be Neuralink
Yeah,
in my brain. I
yeah,
don't even say anything. It just does it.
yeah. I mean, I suspect the term no code will start fading away. To be honest, I think AI trumps everything and is the real interface to it. But it will be doing no code things
Right.
but I don't know if the tools as they are right now are the thing that is going to get that mass market adoption. Because I agree, like we've all been into Bubble for years and years and years, and all these other tools are using Zapier since it came out, and I'm like,
Mhm.
why is these not bigger than they are? It
Yeah.
feels like they should be huge, and it's just never happened.
Yeah.
Will we still have jobs or not? Yes or no?
I think
Yeah.
so.
I think so too. In the news segment today, we talked about Zoom CEO coming out and saying that he thinks that AI twins will start to take meetings on our behalf in the future. And we also had Bumble CEO saying that AI clones would start going on dates on our behalf in the future, and start to get onto these things. And so, where are you guys at with all of this of just like kind of AI kind of taking over the mundane things of taking these meetings, going on dates for like a precursor date to see if there's like even a vibe check? Like, where are you guys at with all of this?
Well, all my friends who are doing online dating, or I always did say to them, why don't you just do a phone call or something before, rather than having to go on an awkward date like a few times a week? Just do a phone call and see if there's any kind of connection before you do that. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I could see it going to one step further. You send an AI on a date and then get a report back from the AI. But I
A
don't know, meetings and stuff like that,
compatibility match.
yeah, for stuff like that maybe, but for meetings, I think
You shouldn't be having a
humans value
meeting.
the
Should
social
be having a
connection.
meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's
shouldn't be
If
having
you're
that
Yeah,
meeting
just
if
get
you
rid of
want
the
to send an
meeting.
AI.
if you're
Yeah.
sending a robot, then just send an email. Like, don't waste my time. I'm not. There's no way I'm going to sit in some meeting talking to some like cartoon avatar or whatever it is of someone else. I would just be like, let's just do this over email. It's wasting both our time. Well, it's wasting my time. You're not even
yeah.
there. I'm kind of
exactly.
confused by what Zoom are thinking about with that, because I'm like, who the hell is going to want to sit in through that? It's just it's
Yeah.
awful.
I
Yeah.
thought it could be cool if there was like an AI avatar that also had access to all of your like company's data. And you could ask questions like, hey, what was the last time we did this? What was the result? And you get some answers in real time, kind of like asking
Mm.
Chat GPT in the middle of the meeting. But you could just do that too, right? Just ask Chat GPT. I don't know. I mean,
I
he's
could
trying to
fa-
get people to think Zoom matters when we're all trying to get rid of meetings and do it by email and AI. So
Right.
his incentive is to get more meetings on the books.
and that's something that I've actually done, and I find it unbelievably useful. Is I've created one of those custom GPTs
Yep.
in Chat GPT and like told it everything about my startup, like everything about me, everything
Yeah.
about the products, and like
Mhm.
it's actually really useful, for to have like a fine tuned version of Chat GPT that you can do certain things with.
Yeah.
We made one for the conference too.
Yeah.
And I used
Interesting.
it to write a ton of our social posts and do all sorts of stuff because it knew who all the speakers were, when they were speaking, all
That's
sorts of
cool.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that seems like a good next step in the sense of like having a company-wide GPT that's trained on everything that your users use for like their own chat purposes, messaging purposes, social media, all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of trained on a central voice with common knowledge. That makes like a good next step, I feel like.
Yeah, and they're actually really easy to make. Like today on OpenAI, I don't think they've publicized it that well. I don't think many people have tried it, but you can easily create one, like upload all your PDFs and put in a massive like giga prompt of everything. But like personally, I was finding myself doing that all the like over and over again, just using regular Chat GPT just to tell it, give it a baseline of what we're about to do. Like we're going to write a social media post or whatever, it needs to know a ton of stuff. So just setting that once is really useful. So hopefully, I think I could see that catching on a lot more.
That is cool. Yeah. Interesting.
We also talked about in our news segment today that what film festival was it, David?
Tribeca.
Tribeca is going to have a segment that is entirely focused on short films from Sora and from AI generated short films. Where are you guys at with that in terms of just like taking over the arts and that way and the good and the bad of it?
I mean, I think it is inevitable. My friend told me like a few months ago he wanted to start a newsletter just about AI movies, and he was like, he hadn't seen any good AI movies, but he was like, I want to start this newsletter now because there is no way that's not going to be a thing in like a couple of years' time. And I think it's only going to take one really good AI movie for people to be like, oh, actually, this is amazing, and we're all going to jump on board with this, and no one will be complaining except for obviously the artists and the creatives and the filmmakers who will be like, oh my god, this is terrible. But I think the mass market will like it, sadly for a lot of people's careers. And I can only see it getting better. People say like it's not creative enough, it doesn't have the imagination, but I think it will quickly get that.
I think with a tool set like that, you can reduce a crew of like 30 down to 1 and then make it happen. And so you're still going to need one person or a couple people to bring it all together, but you're just not going to need as many.
I would expect loads more content to come out. I mean, I think there'll be a lot of awful stuff, but hopefully there'll be a lot of really great stuff that's made by like 2 or 3 people, like with users like who really embrace all this AI stuff. It kind of makes me think, was it Everything Everywhere All at Once? That film was made on a tiny budget, I think, because they did a lot of the effects themselves, the guys who did it. And I imagine that kind of thing will happen very quickly with AI, where you'll get these amazing movies that are made with it. But it will be part of the problem will be trying to find what's good, because there's going to be a lot of awful rubbish that's just.
But there's still awful movies now made by people. That doesn't make it the people problem. That is just
it might be
artist problem.
Just the sheer volume, I would imagine, is going to be because it's I could imagine it's just sorting through. That's where maybe recommendations and that will get more important, I guess.
How are you guys feeling generally? With NoCode AI, I feel like in many ways we're in like a gold mine. We're in like things are really happening, and a lot of disruption is coming up. How are you guys feeling about it? Are you overwhelmed? Are you excited about the opportunity? What are your general thoughts?
I mean, for me, I am like really, really excited about it, but it is also one of those things that if you go too far along the thought pattern, it's quite frightening. But like at the moment, I think we're in a really exciting phase of it where stuff is changing. It's really exciting. You can build stuff. I don't know, maybe after 2 or 3 years, that's I feel we're in a window now of extreme opportunity, more than has ever happened in my lifetime, of the like creation of the internet or like mobile computing. This is like that times 100. So I certainly feel a level of, I don't want to miss this one and mess this one up, as I feel like I kind of missed the other two in some ways. So there is that level of like, God, I really want to try and see what I can make stick with this, and it is changing so quickly that no code is the way to do it. I think a lot, like, because you can put products together very quick with it. It's like certainly AI has been really important in my product, and I'm trying to make sure that everything that I do is centered around AI, but applying it in an actually useful way. Because I think it's very tempting to just go and build whatever crazy thing that you've just seen in a demo, but it's actually not something that people will pay for. And that I think is a really difficult skill. It's one I'm trying to improve on, which is like an understanding of what the technology is capable of and what the market has an appetite to buy, and trying to merge those two together, which is, I think, where the real sweet spots like stuff can happen. But yeah, it's moving very quick, so it's nerve-wracking but exciting.
Yeah, one of the things that I always like to remind myself of it, and you probably see this as well. So I know a little bit about user loop and what you're building, but you're building for Shopify store owners. They may not be as in the loop on AI as we are living in our Twitter bubble, right? And so there's probably like a layer of AI that they are seeing and interacting with and feeling that feels very magical, and they don't know how it works or why it works or where AI lives, and you've just written great software, and they're just like awed by it, right? But then it's very obvious when you go too far, you're like, okay, obviously AI and bad implementation, like, come on, roll it
But
in.
I also think they expect it at this point.
You think so? They're
I think
expecting AI?
I think in some kind of way, they're looking for solutions that have it, and I think, James, one of your solutions is you're summarizing all the reviews that come in and kind of showcasing the most popular kind of things, right?
Yep.
And that's similar to what Google has done and what Yelp has done and a lot of these other ones. And I think that feels very familiar to them and a huge advantage.
100. I think it has become a table stakes type thing, and certainly even like Shopify themselves are like hyper aggressive inputting AI into the platform itself. So there will be this, through this period of massive disruption, a lot of startups will be born and killed very quickly, like through Shopify will just do that, or ChatGPT will just do that, or whatever. So it's very chaotic. So there is this kind of window of opportunity to do great stuff, but it's also a window that opens and closes depending on what OpenAI have just announced or whatever happens. So it's kind of interesting for sure.
Yeah, if you gave me a choice between a world where AI didn't exist and a world where it did, I would choose the world where it didn't exist. Not because I'm not excited about AI and I don't enjoy playing around with it, but every time I play around with something and I build something, and yeah, it gives you that magical feeling. You're like, wow, this is so cool. But I'm always just thinking, but this is like going to totally disrupt an entire industry. And yeah, like I've watched too many YouTube videos where AI experts are just predicting all kinds of stuff, which none of which sounds good. So I personally miss the simpler days when it was just no code and we were just building like simple SaaS products.
It wasn't such a race.
Yeah. And now AI is here and it's a race and it's changing so fast all the time. You got to keep up, and the future is now so much more uncertain than it was a few years ago in so many ways that I just miss the simpler times. But it's not to say that I'm not doing the same as James, like trying to ride the wave, trying to build cool stuff and getting really excited about the small apps I can build with it. But yeah, I do worry about the larger implications.
I think right now, one of the things that makes it even more terrifying is how fast it's moving. I think through, even the last 100 years, there's been huge shifts of just technology, or even, going from horse and buggy to a car and going, airplane travel, things like this. That has been radical, but it happened over like 10, 20, 30, 40 years kind of thing. And so you slowly adjust. Like this is happening over months kind of thing, right? And it's just happening so fast, faster than any innovation before. And I think that rate will only continue to increase because of the new capabilities. And so I think we're now at this place of just like almost whiplash of new things coming at you faster than you ever. And it almost leaves you numb in some kind of way of just like, well, what is there now? Like this was just launched, but it's like, what?
What's the point of trying to build something? It's going to be obsolete in a week and a half.
100%. And I think about that a lot because I'm like, at the moment, I'm like, okay, how do I add this AI feature that does this small thing in my app? And then in the back of my head, I'm like, the concept of surveys is almost irrelevant in a year or two. Like when the entire e-commerce journey has changed, like so it's like you kind of got that in the back of your mind, which is like mega demotivating because it's like, all right, well, why am I bothering? But then also you kind of got this short-term thing of like there is still a window now, And hopefully, as the tools come out and get better, it will enable us as no-code people to do more and more. Hopefully, like that is the way it goes. But yeah, I can totally see there's two sides of it. Of on one side, want to add as many AI features as I can. But on the other side, it's like nearly all SaaS, I imagine, is going to get eaten by this at some point. And it's just how long have we got?
Yeah. Got to get to the exits before that happens. Yeah, I hear you.
David, you want to talk about the mom and pops?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we talked about and that I've said for a long time, we see with retail stores in the 80s, 70s, 60s, and before, lots of Main Street America, a small mom and pop shop. The guy owns a clothing store, and that's his store in that town, and that's where everyone gets their clothes. And then we saw big box retail, right? Like big chains and big clothing brands and things going national, and the mom and pop gets clobbered. And then now we're kind of starting to see boutiques and things coming back in like mom and pop way. And we're going to see, I've always said for a long time, what no code enables is going from, the bespoke custom software that you hired for your company to the big SaaS like Salesforce or Shopify. And then now we can swing back with no code and AI into everyone can build their own software for their business. Maybe one or two people use it, but the cost goes down. And now you don't need the scale to be able to support the team, right? What do you guys think about that? Is that something that you think is going to happen, or is it still going to be controlled by the Salesforce and, the big companies?
I think that is going to happen if we can get the word out about no code enough. Like I was speaking to a guy today he's got like 100 staff in his company, and he pays for like some software where he has to pay per seat. So he's paying for 100 seats. So he's paying thousands of dollars a month for this software. And I told him he could build the same thing in Bubble and it would cost him like $32 a month. And he just could not believe it. He just was blown away. And he was like, why is every company not doing the same thing and saving themselves all this money and just building their own internal tools in-house and not having to pay per seat? And it just makes so much sense. Like I can't see it not happening, but at the same time, you do need to have the right kind of people in the companies who are aware of this stuff. You need to have some technical people or
some capital,
know who to hire to do it. So there are barriers in the way, but with that much money on the table, it seems like it's inevitable as well.
100%. I could definitely see the path trending towards that, and I think you will still have these giant like monoliths who own all of the compute behind the AI, basically, because like by necessity they've got to have giant data centers to do that. But I think there definitely will be a trend towards more niche and bespoke software being made. I mean, like the people always say, there's an app for every kind of Excel spreadsheet, and there's still a lot of Excel spreadsheets out there. So there's a lot of software waiting to be built for sure. But yeah, it's going to be getting people trained up to do it, I guess, as well.
And everyone who has built an Excel spreadsheet should be able to build no-code apps, I think. So that is a huge market there. If you can build Excel spreadsheets, you can build no-code apps for sure.
Hopefully, no code is the new Excel of the last generation.
Like
you
need
Excel
step
skills
better that everyone doesn't hate. But something like that.
Yeah. Any last thoughts before we get out of here, guys?
No. Thanks so much for having us on, and and again, like we've said before, thanks to everyone who supported the event. Like you did, JJ, you did some great little promo videos for us, and like everything like that. We're really thankful for, because it wouldn't have happened without
everyone
helping us out with little bits and pieces. So thanks again for that.
And thanks to you two for making it happen. I mean, you guys sacrificed a lot and a lot of time and money to make it happen and to take this risk. And I think it was a great thing for the industry. And so thank you for going out of your way to make it happen.
Well, we really hope that you will organize one in the US, and we would love to come.
Then
But
we'll
yeah,
get you back over here.
Yeah, we'd love you to come to the next one whenever it happens. Yeah, but I was just going to say the video you made, JJ, I immediately sent it to my brother and my wife, and both of them said, "Is that an AI?"
Oh my
'Cause you were
God.
like, you were so smooth and your hair was so perfect. They were like, "Yeah, that must be an AI."
Well, I might just be an AI right now, guys.
Yeah, he's
So-
dual twin with you. His digital twin.
David
or
and I are
evil
going to be
twin.
replaced by AI avatars on this podcast at
Yeah.
one point. But
That would be
until
such a
then, we
good
will
mic
take
drop.
our opportunity. We'll shine in our moment. Guys, it's always a pleasure talking to you. You're pioneers in the no-code space, AI space. It's still happening. I'm looking forward to kind of continuing to build with you all in the future and to see where this crazy thing goes. It's fun. It's a little scary, but stick together and we'll see where it goes.
100%.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
So if anyone out there is looking to volunteer to run the NoCode US,
We need about
session, let
100
us
of
know.
you
Yeah,
to work for free for 2 months or 5 months.
6 months.
Yeah,
We'll do it right after BubbleCon.
very
BubbleCon.
very admirable, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And heard nothing but great things. Also, I love that the industry supported them like that. Of just they went in there with just
Yeah.
this is gonna be great no matter what, and we're not kind of gonna pick it apart kind of thing. I love that as whether small but still a great industry that like we can support each other in that way, which is really also refreshing.
Yeah. I wish I could go to more NoCode conferences. It just
No.
seems like so much fun to get everyone together and hang out. And I saw Nigel was there. OG Bubble
I
Forum.
know,
Like I
right.
didn't know if he was real or not, or just Emmanuel pretending to be. I don't know. It
So
is.
that was the joke you had a while
That was the
ago.
joke. Yeah,
Okay,
that was the
okay,
joke I was trying to make a while ago. That
okay.
Nigel wasn't real,
His
and then
moniker
Emmanuel
almost.
was just on there answering
Okay.
the questions because he was always there.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot, like, we had, like, No Code Week in, I think, Barcelona, and then we had something else happening in Cologne, Germany this summer, and then, we have Paris coming up, and then there are starting to become more things, but they're still
Mhm.
quite small, and it's not quite adopted yet as being so new and everything.
Yeah.
And it's hard. All these in the Europe in Europe around, and so it's hard to also make it there for us in the States.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe there will be a No Code Brazil because there's so many bubblers there.
Maybe
I'd
what
head
we
back
could
to Rio,
do,
no
if this
problem.
podcast ever makes it big enough, we can go on tour with This Week in No Code AI, and
If
hit up
we are
places.
open for sponsorship, if you want to bring us out to NoCode UK, we will go.
Well,
will do
that would
that.
be cool too. Think about it as like the tour of like we'll hit up and do live shows in different cities. Man, that'd be a dream. But
That would be.
we're gonna need your all help to help us get there. If you haven't shared the podcast, let your friends know about it. If you haven't
Yeah.
left us a review, let us know. Otherwise, tune in for next week because we don't know what's happening yet, but it's gonna be pretty good. I can tell you that.
Yeah. We'll see you next week in No Code and AI.
And AI. See you guys.
See y'all.